on, everyone? This is Lucas Ross Sports, Lucas Ross, your commentator, and it's time to take a look at the AP Top 25 heading into Week 1 of the 2022 college football season. You may have saw the preseason AP Top 25 last week. This is pretty much the same Top 25 heading into Week number 1 of the college football season. I'm going to give you my best thoughts on the games for this upcoming weekend. Pretty much all the games begin on Thursday. Heading into Week number 1, we have a lot of games coming up on Labor Day weekend. It's pretty much a busy time every single year when it's on Labor Day weekend. Clemson does not play until Monday against Georgia Tech. And then, of course, you have all these other games on Saturday. And then some on Sunday. So, I mean, there's a lot of games to cover for in this top 25. And I'll give you my thoughts on the teams heading into this weekend coming up, and also this Thursday, because the games do begin there on Thursday, but we will do an AP Top 25 update every single week heading into the next week, and also heading into week by week. And we'll also give you those upset alert type videos. If you want to see my upset alert video from yesterday, you can go back and watch that video in the playlist on the playlist upset alert playlist list. So let's get right into this top 25 here. We'll start from 21 through 25. And BYU comes in at number 25. This is a veteran BYU team heading into this season. They play, of course, South Florida on the road. And they are only a 12-point favorite in that game, but it's still not considered to be an upset alert type game. I think BYU is going to be a really interesting team this season. Pretty much a veteran experience offense as well as defensively. I think this team has what it takes to maybe go into some big things this year. Maybe perhaps a New Year's Six bowl game. I mean, BYU could potentially make that, but pretty much I only cover the Power 5 teams, so I really don't know much about the Group of 5 teams. But BYU, though, I know they have a veteran team coming back this year. And the same thing with this Houston team at number 24. Houston at number 24. They play on the road at UTSA. That's not going to be an easy game. Let me be honest, that is not going to be an easy game. If you saw my upset alert video from yesterday, Houston is only a 4-point favorite in that game. But the over and under was at 61.5, so pretty much a touchdown favorite. But this game right here, not going to be even easy. UTSA was really good last year. But I think Houston is still got what it takes to go on the road and defeat UTSA there. So I think they will have a shot to maybe win that game. So I think Houston will win that one. I mean, pretty much it's that's not going to be an easy win there, but it's a game that can go either way. Let's be honest, it's a game that can go either way. I think Houston should take care of business in that game. I really don't see any business in losing that game. So Houston at number 24, Cincinnati at number 23. They play Arkansas this Saturday. That is going to be an interesting game. I mean, I'm telling you, this is going to be an interesting game between those two teams. I mean, Cincinnati obviously has a shot to beat Arkansas on the road, but let's be honest, I think the talent is not there from last year. I mean, Cincinnati lost a lot of production from last year. And when they lost all that production from the college football playoff team last year when they went to the semifinal. They lost their quarterback, but now they're going to have a different quarterback. But I think Cincinnati is still capable of, maybe winning the American Atlantic Division. I mean, probably with Houston, I think Houston and Cincinnati are pretty even in that division as well, and maybe in that conference. And I think it will be a really interesting conference to watch this year. But Cincinnati going on the road to face Arkansas. Arkansas is a 6-point favorite in that game. It's going to be pretty interesting to see what will happen. They're ranked number 23 on this top 25. We go to number 22, and that is Wake Forest. They'll play VMI out of the non-conference this weekend. Not going to be a hard game, I believe, for them. They played Thursday, actually, coming up, so they played 2 days, and it's kind of emotional for Wake Forest. Sam Hartman out for the season. I mean, a lot of people were expecting him to be one of the best quarterbacks in the ACC this year, and he was definitely a top 10 quarterback for me, but I did not include him in that top 25 after he was injured, so it's a pretty tough draw there for them. I mean, pretty much for them, so I mean, I got to feel bad for Wake Forest, but I think they're still a top 25 team and also a team to look out for in the Atlantic Division this year. Ole Miss ranked number 21 here. Ole Miss is going to be a team that has a lot to replace at quarterback and obviously on the offensive side of the ball, but they still should be pretty good. They play Torrey this Saturday. I mean, it should be an easy win there for Ole Miss. They have no business in losing that game. It just comes down to that defense. Like every year for Ole Miss, it seems to come down to that defense every single year. If they can get good defensive play, this Ole Miss team has a chance to be a really good team this season, but it comes down to that offense as well. I mean, they replaced Matt Corral at quarterback, but I think they should be really good and explosive on that side of the ball. Let's go to now number 16 through 20. We got Kentucky here at number 20. They play this Saturday, of course, against Miami of Ohio Redhawks. Kentucky should win that game easily. A lot of hype for Kentucky coming into this season. My concern is the talent they have. The offense, I think, is a little bit, underwhelmed a little bit. I think they should be overall a pretty good team. The passing attack's going to be pretty good for them. Will Levis at quarterback. Everybody's pretty much hyping him up to be a first-round pick, but let's be honest, I'm not really high when it comes to Will Levis at quarterback. I am really high on Kentucky, and don't really get me wrong, I am pretty high on Kentucky this year. I'm saying they're not going to be a bad team. I just think Will Levis is kind of, being too hyped a little bit, and I think that's what's going to happen there. I mean, he's not going to have a terrible season, but I think he's just getting a little too hyped up, and I think he's kind of showing off a little bit, not disrespecting Will Levis, but I think Kentucky still is a pretty good team, and they have a pretty tough schedule as well. They have to play Florida on the road this year. That's pretty tough, but we'll see what happens for Kentucky coming into this weekend. Arkansas, like I just mentioned, they play Cincinnati this Saturday. They're ranked number 19th here, and like I said, they are a 6-point favorite going into that game. I mean, honestly, I think they should be probably a 10-point favorite, but I think the way Cincinnati was good last year, I think that's why it's only a 6-point favorite for Arkansas, and pretty much a 50-50 game as well. It's a ranked matchup as well between these two teams. I think the loser of this game drops out of the top 25, so I mean, it's pretty obvious that it will happen, but I think Arkansas with the home field advantage, I think they're going to win this game. I think Arkansas, with the talent they have at quarterback with Jefferson, I think he's going to be pretty good this year. They have a chance to maybe make something happen in the SEC West this year, and I think they have what it takes to really try to win it. Wisconsin here at number 18. There's a lot of, question marks for Wisconsin, but they play Illinois State here on Saturday. I mean, it's not going to be that tough of a game, I believe, for Wisconsin. They'll have a great running game, to be honest. It just comes down to that whole offense and also defensively. They'll have a great running game, but it just comes down to that defense for Wisconsin. If they can get good quarterback play, this team has a chance to be really good, but I'm not really high on this team. I think the schedule is pretty tough. They have to play Washington State out of the non-conference in I think it's week number 3, perhaps week number 2, perhaps as well. But this right here is it just comes down to that quarterback for Wisconsin, and if they can get good quarterback play, they'll be really good on that side of the ball. Number 17 is Pittsburgh. They're at number 17 here. And, of course, they play in 2 days against West Virginia. And that was on my upset alert type videos. I'm saying it was potentially an upset. I mean, I'm not counting out West Virginia in this game. I think it will be an interesting matchup. High-scoring game, perhaps. I hope it's a high-scoring game. It's coming up this Thursday. I mean, Pittsburgh has a chance to be a really good team this season, and they have a shot to maybe be one of the top teams in the Coastal Division, maybe perhaps behind Miami, and we'll get to Miami in just a minute. They're number 16 here on this top 25 for Pittsburgh. They have a lot to replace at quarterback, especially with Kenny Pickett. They have another transfer quarterback coming in, so they really should be overall pretty good this season. Not a bad team, maybe a 9-win type team as well. So Pittsburgh, obviously, I think they're going to be really good. And then Miami comes in here at number 16. They'll play Bethune Cook here this coming Saturday. This is a veteran Miami team. Tyler Van Dyke at quarterback. I mean, what is he going to be like this year? I think he is definitely a top 10 quarterback. He was in my top 10 quarterbacks coming into 2022, if you saw that video. I mean, Miami is going to be a pretty interesting team. They have a veteran team coming back this year, and also pretty much high expectations for this team. I mean, they have to play Texas A&M on the road coming into week 3, I think it is. But that's a young team. That's a young team that could potentially win. I think Miami is going to have a really good season. I have them going 9-3 this year, if you saw my predictions with them. But I think this team has what it takes to really have a winning season. Let's go from 11 through 15 now. That's Michigan State here at number 15. This is going to be a good team. I'm really seeing this one being a good team. They play Western Michigan coming up this Friday. Michigan State should win that game pretty easily. They have no business in losing that game. If they lose that game, that's pretty tough, but I don't think Michigan State, there's not a whole lot to talk about them. I just think they're going to be really good. And also maybe an underdog in the Big Ten, not quite there with the level of Ohio State or, maybe some other teams out of the West as well. But I think Michigan State will be good enough to really go to a New Year's Six bowl game perhaps. And then USC comes in here at number 14. My concern is just the defense. I think defensively they will, try to pick something up there a little bit in the season, but it's going to take some time. But this offense should be really explosive. The transfer portal was big for them in the transfer portal. They picked up Caleb Williams and also Lincoln Riley coming in, and they play against Rice this Saturday. That game is on the Pac-12 network, I think, and that's going to be a game that I think USC will maybe score 60 points in. I like for them to get off to a fast start. Let's be honest, if they can score like 50-something points in their first game, this USC team has a chance to be really good, and I think they have a shot to perhaps make the college football playoff. You never know, but I don't think they will do that in their first year because of how the schedule sets up. And then we got NC State here at number 13. They play East Carolina on the road coming up this Saturday. That is not going to be an easy game, and they're really much only a 10-point favorite in that game. It's not a potential upset alert type game, but you never know. You never know what can happen. We saw a lot of upsets last year where, unranked teams came on the road and defeat the ranked team in the early part of the week. But NC State, I think, is capable of going on the road and defeating East Carolina. This is a veteran team as well, so I really don't expect them to really lose that game. And then Oklahoma State comes in here at number 12. Honestly, I thought Oklahoma State will be ranked a little bit lower than they were last year after losing the Big 12 championship, but they play Central Michigan coming up on Thursday, so that's going to be an interesting game a little bit, but that game is on Fox Sports 1. Oklahoma State, what concerns me about them is, of course, the secondary. They have a lot to replace on that defensive side of the ball. Offensively, it just comes down to that offense as well. It really comes down if they can score some points. If they don't score some points, this team is not going to be all that great this year. I'm not saying they're going to be a bad team. I just think they're going to be just a decent team, and I'm not really high on this Oklahoma State team. Oregon comes in here at number 11. They play Georgia this Saturday. That is going to be the big game right there, I believe, probably in week 1. We probably have a lot more games, though, that are probably big instead of Georgia and Oregon. But Oregon, I think this is a quality team. I think this is a decent team. I'm not saying they're going to be a, good team or maybe like one of the best teams in the Pac-12 this year. I think they're just a decent team. I'm not really saying they're going to win the Pac-12 this year, but I think Oregon has what it takes to still win it. But, the schedule is kind of tough for Oregon. I mean, you had to play Georgia to begin this season, and then, of course, all these other teams in the Pac-12. If they can win those games, I mean, they can have a chance to maybe go to the Pac-12 championship. And Bo Nix coming over at quarterback, what is he going to be like this Saturday against Georgia? He knows about them a lot. We've seen his ups and downs when he was at Auburn, and I think he's going to have a shot to maybe do something that is really going to be good. Let's now go into the 6 through 10. That's Baylor at number 10, the defending Big 12 champions. Baylor, of course, playing Albany this Saturday. Shouldn't be really a big problem for that game. I think Baylor has what it takes to really, win that game by probably a decent margin as well. I mean, the one thing that concerns me about Baylor is the offense. I mean, they have to replace a lot on the offensive line as well. But I think Baylor is still a quality team. I'm not saying they're a bad team. I think they're probably just a decent team. I think they'll have a decent season, but probably take a step back from they were last year in the Big 12 championship. Number 9 is Oklahoma. Really interesting, team here. I thought Oklahoma would be ranked a little bit lower than they were in the top 10 in this. I didn't really expect them to be in the top 10, to be honest. But they play against UTEP this Saturday on Fox. That game is at 3:30. That's a game that I think Oklahoma will win by a blowout. And, of course, Dylan Gabriel coming over at quarterback. Going to be a really interesting, decision there when he steps in. If Oklahoma can get good quarterback play, this team has a chance to be really good. And I also think they have a shot to maybe make the Big 12 championship. I mean, still has a chance. But, I think Oklahoma is going to take a step back from where they were last year. Of course, they lose Lincoln Riley as the head coach. The defense should be overall pretty good. But this team, has to play Nebraska out of the non-conference. But Like we said, Nebraska lost, to Northwestern last weekend. So I think it's going to be pretty interesting to see what will happen in that game. Number 8 is Michigan. Michigan, of course, coming off that college football playoff season last year. They'll play Colorado State this Saturday. That game is at noon on ABC. Michigan is going to be a team that, has a lot to rebuild. The defense has a lot to rebuild. That's the one thing that concerns me. The offense should be really explosive, though. To be honest, I thought Michigan would be ranked a little bit higher when the AP Top 25 came out last week, and I thought they would be better than, number 8 or something like that. But Michigan is at number 8, Utah at number 7. They'll play Florida this coming Saturday. That is a game that everyone is really circling on their calendars. I mean, Utah versus Florida is going to be a really good matchup, and a game that Utah could potentially lose. They're only a field goal favorite in that game. And yes, Florida does have the depth chart to defeat Utah in this game. But like I said, it comes down to that quarterback position for Florida. And if they can get good quarterback play, good backups to play, that team has a chance to be really decent this season. I'm not saying they're going to be a terrible team. I think they're just going to be a decent team. Utah, though, I had them go into the college football playoff this year. If they can win that game and get out of Gainesville, Florida with a win, that is going to be a big win there for them, and I think they will try to do that this upcoming Saturday. Number 6 is Texas A&M, a team that, is going to be really young this year. I mean, they have a lot to improve on both sides of the ball. I mean, they're going to have a young team. They're going to have to play some freshmen out there. They have to play Sam Houston this Saturday. That game is at noon. So we'll see what this team looks like with the young talent they have this year. Of course, they were ranked the number 1 recruiting class coming into 2022. So we'll see what Jimbo Fisher has for them this upcoming season. Let's go to the top 5 now, and it's Notre Dame here at number 5. I'm still really surprised that Notre Dame is ranked number 5 in this top 25 heading into week 1. And of course, they play Ohio State this Saturday. That is the big game, I believe, right there heading into week number 1. That game is probably on College Game Day as well. And that game is going to be at 7:30 Eastern time, I believe. And I think it's a night game, so I think it will be a tough challenge for Notre Dame. I'm not saying they're going to get blown out. I think they will compete in the first half. It's one of those, upset alert type games, but it's not considered to be an upset. Ohio State is a 16-point favorite going into that game. If you saw my upset alert video from yesterday, that game is really going to be, all about who is the better offense and who's the better defense. I think it's some sort of a defensive battle, but I think Ohio State will pull away, and I think they will win that game. So I really don't see Notre Dame being a contender in that game. Clemson is number 4 here. Clemson will play not until Monday. They play against Georgia Tech at Atlanta. That's a neutral site game. I mean, pretty much home field advantage for Georgia Tech in that game, but I think Clemson should roll in that game. They should be better than they were last year as well. And I think DJ Ogule will be a really consistent quarterback. I'm not saying that he's going to be consistent. I'm just thinking he's going to be consistent. I think, he has a better season than he did last year. Clemson just has a lot to rebuild, but I think they will be a better quality team. Not one of those good teams, but I think they will be a decent team. So I think Clemson will be winners on Monday against Georgia Tech. Georgia comes in here at number 3. Of course, they play at Oregon this Saturday. That's going to be in Atlanta as well. It's going to be pretty much home field advantage for Georgia, but let's be honest. I think Oregon really competes in that game. I think with the, talent they have and also with the defense Georgia lost, I think they could score some points on this Georgia team. But like I said, I think Georgia is still talented enough to get the win because Kirby Smart is a great coach. He knows how to recruit, and I think Georgia really wins that game. So not really much to talk about for Georgia. The offense is going to be really good, and Stetson Bennett is back at quarterback. Ohio State at number 2, like I just mentioned with the Notre Dame game. This game right here, I really don't see it being all that close. I think Ohio State is clearly the better team as well and the most dangerous offense coming into 2022. I think CJ Stroud is capable of, maybe winning the Heisman Trophy. And also, I got Ohio State, going to the college football playoff this year. And I think this team is going to really be dangerous. So watch out for the Buckeyes. And then Alabama comes in at number 1. They'll play Utah State this Saturday. Not going to be a hard game for Alabama. They should roll in that game. They have to play Texas the next week, though, and that's going to be pretty interesting to see what will happen in that game. But that concludes the top 25 heading into week 1 of the college football season. I'm pretty excited that college football is back this Thursday, and let me know what Let me know what you guys want videos next here on this channel. And like I said, I'll give you 5 takeaway videos on Sunday, perhaps, maybe top 25 videos on Tuesday for Tuesday top 25. And then Monday, I'll give you some upset alert type games week by week. So we'll come up with more videos on this channel. If you want to see any more videos, let me know. And stay tuned here for more on Lucas Ross Sports.